The reproduction of this content is not allowed without the express written consent of EBH Fitness, LLC. We're back. El Paso, Sunday. Welcome to the BSR's Coaches Week 4 wrap-up, and we're joined here by Coach Torres from Franklin High School. Coach, thanks for joining us again. Congratulations on the big win. Definitely. So let's talk about last week as we kick the show off. Big win for you guys, 70-23 over Americas. Who are some of the players that stood out for you guys, and what was some of the keys to that victory for you all?
Well, I mean, obviously Ernie Powers had another big night. Our offensive line played extremely well, as was expected. But I was really happy with our passing game. I thought Lucas Garza made some really big throws down the field to a couple of guys, and Santi and Staples. But I felt like defensively we played a really good second half. Kind of cleaned up a lot of coverage things that we were killing ourselves on earlier in the season. We had a pick six that was big. Adonis Bustillos, a defensive end, played really well, and JB Guzman. But I felt like KJ Sigler did a great job in the back end, as well as Rhett and Tyson. And so overall, I thought we played it was a really great team effort. I was really happy with our special teams play as well.
Definitely. I know when we talked last week, I know one of the things you had mentioned was kind of try to get that balance on the offensive side. And, when you look at the numbers, Ernie, 24 carries, 185 yards, but you also had other players that stepped up. Like you said, Lucas going 9 for 13 for 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. But then I can't remember the young man's name, rushed for 77 yards on 6 carries. So,
Trey.
Yes. So, I can see where you guys are making those concerted efforts to balance that offense out, and you can also see it paying off on the field and in film. You said that the second half you guys were able to clean it up. I think Cameron Johnson went for 130 yards, but he only had 1 touchdown. What were some of the things that you guys did defensively to really shut that offense down?
Yeah, Cam Johnson, he's a very talented player, and he did gash us on a couple plays. But, for us, it was communication still. That's kind of been our big coaching point for the last couple of weeks. Well, really, actually, till we started camp, was our communication had to get better, especially in our back end with the amount of formations that Americas likes to run. We had some breakdowns or some miscommunication on strength calls, on how we were setting our strength and our pressures, and that kind of got us out of position and opened up some gaps that Cam and Americas were able to attack. But I felt like when we came in at halftime, and even there near the end of the second quarter, getting our kids to kind of understand and for us to all get on the same page was a big benefit to us. But, we had some big plays on special teams that gave us the ball with some very short field position. Ernie had 3 touchdowns called back in the first quarter, which,
oh, wow.
On 2 of them, I'm still looking for the holding call that was called, and I can't find it. But, it is what it is. It's going to happen. But I just felt like overall we started to kind of believe in ourselves. And I have to keep reminding myself that we got some young guys out there with some veteran guys. And the biggest thing is it's a new staff. And so I think we're still week to week learning each other, coaches learning the players and the players learning the coaches. And so as long as we can continue to move forward and make strides in those categories, I think we're going to set ourselves up for a really good season come district play.
You guys start district play this week?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You know, I, we sit here and you know, I, I I guess I'm part of this too because I guess you could say I'm media. Um,
Yes, you
we
are.
talk we talk about all these non-conference games, right? And I'm always reminded of what I've always said, like a district championship isn't won in a non-conference season. And so, yes, these games matter, but the games that really matter start next week. Um, and you guys play. I overlooked that. Who you guys play next week?
Coronado.
Coronado. Okay. So as you guys flip the page and start that transition and focusing on Coronado, what are some of the things that, from a staff perspective, you guys are looking at to get your guys ready for this week?
Well, Coronado got their first win last week, homecoming week. So that was a big one for them at home, their first home game of the year against Parkland. But I
Yeah.
think what I saw on film was, West Stansbury did a great job getting the ball down the field. And they really do have a talented group of receivers in Wilson and Frescas
Yeah.
that could stretch the field and do a great job tracking the ball and going to get it. But I think Stansbury throws probably one of the nicest fade deep go balls that I've seen in quite a while. And so, I felt like Coronado's starting to kind of hit their stride with their offense and seeing what fits them best. And I thought West did a great job of getting the ball out quick on the perimeter. I think first play of the game, they threw a quick screen to the wide side of the field and empty and went to the house for a score. And so they do have the ability with the athletes that they have and the IQ and arm strength of Stansbury to get the ball and strike quick. And that's something we've struggled with early in the season is getting off the field on third and long on some of those deep balls. Thought we did a better job last week, but we definitely have to be disciplined in the back end and try to get pressure with four and let him get that ball out quicker because he'll hurt you deep with the post and the go route. And then defensively, they're going to stay true to their 3-4. Kind of umbrella it behind, keep everything in front. You let their athletes rally to the ball, try to minimize your big plays and make you march it down the field. And I've always felt like in high school, once you get to that eighth to ninth play of a drive, if you're still driving, that sometimes gets a little uncomfortable for players out there on the field, where silly mistakes can happen. So, I think they're going to make us earn it. Try to keep everything in front of them and come up and make tackles. But, Coach Blanco, their defensive coordinator, has been doing this a long time at a high level, especially over here on the west side at both Franklin and at Coronado. So his familiarity with our kids and within his own team, I think benefits them. And then, like you said, it's district play now. So all the rushing yards, touchdowns, or lack thereof prior to this, the records, they are what they are. But it's district play now, so everybody's 0-0, and I think that's what every coach is probably preaching. For us, it's the West Side Bowl,
Yeah.
so it's a big game. It's homecoming week. We'll be playing in the Sun Bowl on Thursday, and I'm sure both teams are excited about that. But it's a clean slate, and so here we go. It's the next part of the season. It's season 2, which is district play.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that because it was one of the things I was going to talk about was this is kind of like this is that West Side rivalry game, and so whenever these guys play, you can throw records out the window. It just brings out the best in both teams, and so this your first one as the head coach.
Yeah.
How has that impacting you as far as your prep and all of that?
For me, it really
Another
it
game?
really doesn't affect me at all. When I came over here as an assistant, I could tell you that it was having coached in this game. It's extremely exciting to see the pride and the passion of both teams. Um, I think the thing that when I look back at the history of the West Side Bowl, it's not so much the wins and losses, or who's won the most, but there's always some uncharacteristic things that happen in that game, whether it kind of starts off a little sloppy at times with fumbles and missed snaps and silly things. So for me, it's really just getting our kids to understand this is a district game. And that's the most important thing. Um, to me, it doesn't really matter who we're lining up in front of, at least not right now. Coronado is our first district opponent, and so that's what's big about it for me. Try to do our best to block out, the rivalry stuff and keep our kids focused and homecoming week and all that. But um, for me, it's just the next game on our schedule, and it's a district game, and so it's a big one for us.
Is Coronado always homecoming for you guys?
No, no, and these homecoming games, they're getting harder and harder to pick.
Yeah.
Because everybody's involved, community, alumni, band members, the district. And so when you're trying to schedule these things, you're looking at senior nights, you're looking at how many home games you have, the time for all the organizations outside of the football team to get prepared for it. Um, so then you got middle school nights, and it seems like every home game there's a different event. And with our limited number of home games, this was the only one where we could really put it in. And so it wasn't, we circled Coronado on our schedule and said this was going to be our home game. Just as all these logistical things and other special events throughout the season that come up, this was the only home game really available for us to play.
No, I got you. I was kind of joking with you there,
Uh,
because I know how big of a rivalry this game is. Both my kids went to Franklin, and so it's always interesting to see these games play out because you truly can throw the records out the window. Um, that game usually comes down to heart, who wants it the most. Um, a lot of times the talent plays a part, but for most of these games, it comes down to who wants it the most, and it'll be interesting to see that play out on the field. I have my thoughts on who should win, but I also know that this is one of those games where anything can happen, like you said.
yeah, absolutely. I was looking at kind of the stats this morning, and kind of percentages as far as what we're doing, our tendencies, their tendencies, points given up, points scored, and just like a boxing fight, styles make fights, and so there's some things they do on both sides of the ball that can give us trouble. I think special teams is going to be a huge part of this game. But the game of football is a lot about and heart and discipline can neutralize and eliminate talent. So one of the things that I pride myself on is being a very disciplined team and playing hard, for 4 quarters. And so that's definitely going to be probably the biggest um, indicator of winning and losing this game.
Got you. Um, well, as we kind of wind down here, what are some of the things that you guys are looking to do this week to put you in a position to be successful and get that W?
Well, I think the first thing is we've got to continue to protect the ball. I think we've done a good job, on the turnover category, and so that's got to be a big thing there. I'm sure they're going to have a plan for our run attack, so it's going to be important for our passing game to keep them honest and loosen them up. One of the things that we have to do on defense is stay home backside. They do have a nice little misdirection screen game, as well as some end arounds and reverses to kind of flip the field and flip the strength where they can get you on. So, as much as we preach pursuing to the ball, we've got to be disciplined backside and make sure that we're keying our keys and that that ball is going to the front side and we don't get caught, looking or out of position when they swing it back around the other way. And then again, just the special teams. I think that we might have some opportunities to steal a possession. And should those opportunities present themselves, we've got to take full advantage of them and execute. And then just really, do our best to keep number 15 uncomfortable back there while he's standing back there in the pocket because they do have the ability to hurt you deep and make you pay with their vertical pass game. And so trying to get the ball out of his hands and get him off his spot and not let him step into his throws will be big for us and disrupt their timing on the outside. And so I know people look at the records and look at all that stuff, but um, just like a lot of teams and just like us ourselves, that they're still looking to improve on what they're doing well and start polishing up some of the things that they're not and get better at those and everyone's looking to put together a full game and for them and for us, what better week than this week? And so um I think Stansbury's really finding his rhythm. Those receivers, like I said, they cause a lot of problems, and I saw their athleticism in the summer in 7-on-7,
Yeah.
and you're seeing it now on film on how they can really track the ball and get loose out there behind the linebackers and make you pay deep for some quick strikes.
Yeah, and I thought going into the season, what was interesting was that you're right, Stansbury is getting a lot better. At the beginning of the year, I was one of those ones who said their best quarterback is playing wide receiver. But you can see the maturation and the growing process for Stansbury each and every game. And as a coach, you understand why the decision was made. But I think as a regular fan that might be watching, they probably didn't understand that. But that Wilson kid is an athlete. He is a athlete.
Yeah.
And putting him in a position to where he can get the ball on the outside one on one gives him the best opportunity to be the most explosive he can be because he has the ability to make a defender miss and he's gone.
Yeah, without a question, I think Ben Wilson is a triple threat guy. He can throw, he can run, he can catch. Um, and I guess when I look at it, it's kind of, you pick your poison, right? If Ben Wilson's in the backfield, that's one less threat outside we have to worry about. We can kind of get 22 eyes in that backfield on him, but now you spread him out, and then you got Frescas, on the other side. Now that's two receivers you got to really account for and be aware of where they're at. And then you got a guy back there in Stansbury who could deliver the ball deep. And, I think he's quietly, I think he takes a lot of heat for his
Yeah,
last name.
yeah,
But what a lot of people don't realize is this is this guy's fourth year of playing football and playing quarterback. He didn't grow up playing football, and so he's only going to continue to get better. But you look at his stats right now, and he's thrown for about 900 yards, 8 touchdown passes through the air. And so as he continues to grow as a quarterback with that group of receivers around him, I think Coronado's offense is going to turn into, a much more dangerous offense, especially through the air. I know they've got some injury issues at running back, and I don't
yeah,
know where those guys are at
yeah,
as far as coming back. But, them getting into empty sets and some unbalanced sets, where there'd be 3-by-1, some two-back stuff, and their empty packages, you got to defend the whole field. And, I think Wes is an extremely smart kid who's working hard at his craft and the position and understanding the nuances every week. And you see it when you're watching him, just him knowing where to go with the ball and getting it out of his hand quick. And then he's deadly accurate deep, especially after 20 yards. He can put that ball right on that outside shoulder where either his guy's going to get it or nobody. And so those things are hard to defend. And we're going to have to be able to give him some different looks and stay with it and stay in coverage and disrupt some of that timing off the line for those guys. But, Coronado, I think last week was really big for them. And, I know if I'm a Coronado guy, I'm just building off of the win, building off of the excitement, heading into district play. And for us, it's to stay focused on the district game and focus on us and not get caught up into this West Side takeover stuff and all the social media deal. I mean, we've got a game to play and we've got to play our style of football and do what we've been doing and get better at what we've been doing, to achieve the things we want to do. But at the end of the day, for us, it's about getting more balance, but we're going to run the football. And number 4, number 20, they're going to carry the ball for us. I thought Lucas Garza did a great job last week, also carrying the ball. He rushed for 70 yards, almost had a touchdown. So his decision making also is getting a lot better as he's getting comfortable with the offense and being the general of our offense. So it should be a good one Thursday night in the Sun Bowl.
Definitely, and people will have to remember Wes Stansbury is a sophomore.
Correct.
And this is his first year starting as a quarterback on varsity. His process, his growth path is gonna ascend, but he's having to go through some things right now and learn a lot on the fly. And so I think understanding that probably allows you guys to do some things on defense differently, maybe that you might not do normally. You don't have to talk about that now, but
yeah, no, I mean, he's a different quarterback for sure. And to the point of him being a sophomore, I think his home environment and having a father that's been through it himself.
yeah.
His dad wasn't a quarterback in middle school or anything like that. He jumped in as a freshman in high school and made the position change. And just understanding the heat and the criticism
Yep.
comes with that position, especially when things aren't going well for your team. And then you look at just having the resources and you get to go home to every day to somebody who loves you and supports you and can help you talk and work through these things as he grows. I mean, Wes Stansbury is only going to continue to get better, but he's a different threat for us in the fact that down the field, he is so accurate and he's gotten so much better already this year. And, over here we call it grip and rip, but I mean, he catches that ball and he knows in their quick game where to go with it and he's getting it out quick. And so you got to, when a guy's getting rid of the ball that quick, blitzing him doesn't really hurt because, the throw's beating the blitz. And so we do have to do some things a little bit different on defense to protect deep, but also kind of close up those windows underneath as he's catching it and getting rid of it to where he's going with it. And, maybe trying to disguise some coverages to where he gets thrown off a little bit or can hold it a little bit longer as we roll in and out of coverage and whatnot. But, he's only going to get better. And I think that's good for the sport. I think it's good for El Paso. I just hope he doesn't get drastically better this week when we line up against him.
Definitely. I'm sitting up here and I'm like, yeah, he's going to get better. It's going to be a nightmare for people in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
But
without question.
Yeah, definitely. But hey, Coach, I appreciate you taking your time out to join us here. Anything you want to say in closing?
No, just like I say every week, man. I appreciate what you're doing. And there's a lot of coaches across the city that work their butts off, you know, for for our kids and for this city and for the districts that they're employed by. And I know on Friday nights or Thursday nights, there's a lot of questions that go on, and I could tell you that, for us as coaches, we're really grateful and appreciative of what you do for us and kind of give us an opportunity to tell our story week in and week out about the work we're putting in for our kids and to highlight our kids and the work they're doing and the great things that they're doing across this city to represent El Paso and this state and, of course, our sport of football. So thank you very much, and I look forward to talking to you again next week.
Definitely, Coach. Well, hey, folks, as we wrap up here, I put this out every week. We're hiring. I need help. We need camera operators. We need commentators. If you're looking to get into sports and to be around high school sports and make an impact, reach out to us. The office number is 915-300-0481. And if no one answers, leave a message. I will get back to you. But hey, it's been another great weekend here in the Borderland. This has been the Borderland Sports Report. Thank you, folks. Be blessed. Have a good weekend.